You know exactly what this feels like. It's 11 p.m. You are exhausted. You've had a long day fighting your own battles, suppressing your own anxieties. You just want to close your eyes and drift away. But then, the phone buzzes. You look at the screen. It's that friend, again. In that split second, your body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens. A wave of heaviness washes over you. You feel a mix of dread and guilt. You know what's coming. Another crisis, another venting session, another hour of you listening, nodding, validating, and absorbing emotional chaos that isn't yours. You want to ignore it, but you don't. You pick up. You put on your strong voice and say, "I'm here. Tell me what happened." If this scene sounds familiar, you are suffering from what I call the therapist-friend paradox. You are the rock, the anchor, the wise one. You are the person everyone calls when their world is falling apart, because they know, consciously or subconsciously, that you will hold their pieces together. But here's the paradox. You spend so much energy analyzing, fixing, and carrying the lives of others that your own life remains unexamined. You are the architect who builds palaces for everyone else, but lives in a house with no roof. The world calls you kind, they call you supportive, but deep down, you don't feel kind. You feel hollow. You feel used. And worst of all, you feel lonely in a room full of people who claim to love you. Today, we are going to dismantle this dynamic. We aren't just going to talk about boundaries. We are going to look at the dark psychology of why you do this, why you attract broken people, why you feel guilty when you aren't useful, and how to finally retire from being everyone's unpaid therapist without losing your humanity. Nobody is born a therapist friend. You were made one. Usually, this training begins long before you had your first cell phone. It often starts in childhood. Psychologists call this parentification. It happens when the emotional roles in a family are reversed. Instead of the parents regulating the child's emotions, the child learns to regulate the parents. Maybe you had a parent who was emotionally volatile, depressed, or chaotic. To stay safe, you learned to be hypervigilant. You learned to read the weather in the house. You learned that if you could fix their mood, if you could be the good listener, the peacekeeper, the counselor, then the chaos would stop. You learned a dangerous equation. My value equals my utility. You learned that love isn't something you receive just for existing. Love is a transaction. You pay for it by being strong. You pay for it by having the answers. So, you grew up, but the pattern didn't break. You just transferred it to your friendships. You became the low-maintenance friend. The one who never asks for anything but gives everything. Why? Because being the fixer gives you a sense of control. If you are the one helping, you are the one in power. If you are the one listening, you don't have to be the one engaging with your own pain. Helping others is your drug. It's a distraction. It's easier to solve your best friend's relationship crisis than to face the emptiness in your own chest. Here is a hard truth that might sting. We teach people how to treat us. When you position yourself as the therapist friend, you act like a magnet for a specific type of person. I call them the crisis junkies, or emotional vampires. These aren't necessarily bad people. They are often hurting. But they lack emotional regulation. And because you have too much emotional regulation, you are the perfect match. It's a lock and key dynamic. They need to dump, you need to catch. But notice the imbalance. When they talk, it's a flood. It's unstructured, repetitive venting. They don't want solutions, they want relief. When you talk, wait, do you ever talk? Think about your last 3 conversations with that friend. Did they ask you how you are? And if they did, Did they actually wait for the answer, or did they pivot back to themselves within 30 seconds? This is where it becomes pathological altruism. You think you are helping them, but are you? By always being the safety net, by always answering that 2 a.m. call, you are actually robbing them of the ability to self-soothe. You aren't their therapist. You are their painkiller. You numb their anxiety for a moment, but you prevent them from doing the hard work of healing. And in the process, you are slowly destroying yourself. The cost of this dynamic is high, and the currency you pay with is your own nervous system. You might think you are fine. You say, "I can handle it. I'm strong." But the body keeps the score. The cost shows up as compassion fatigue. You start feeling numb. You start dreading social interactions. You find yourself hiding in the bathroom just to get 5 minutes of silence. But the darkest cost is resentment. You start to secretly hate the people you claim to love. You get annoyed when their name pops up on your phone. You roll your eyes when they start telling a story. You think, "Why is it always about you? Why does nobody ask about me?" But you never say it out loud. You suppress the anger, which turns into bitterness. And bitterness is a poison that rots relationships from the inside out. This is the tragedy of the therapist friend. You give so much that you eventually have nothing left but anger. And then you inevitably crash. And when you crash, you isolate, confirming your deepest fear. "See? I'm all alone. Nobody cares about me unless I'm useful." So, how do we break this cycle? How do you retire from being the unpaid therapist without becoming a bad friend? It requires a shift in identity. You must move from being a savior to being a supporter. A savior takes responsibility for someone's emotions. A supporter shows empathy, but leaves the responsibility with the other person. This is terrifying, I know. You are afraid that if you say no, they will leave. And honestly, some of them might. The ones who only loved you for your utility will leave. Let them go. That is not a loss. That is a cleansing. But for the real friends, you need new tools. You need scripts. Most therapist friends don't set boundaries because they simply don't know what to say. They think a boundary has to be rude. It doesn't. First, consider the moment when a friend calls and immediately starts unloading heavy, repetitive drama. You are tired. You have zero capacity. Instead of listening and suffering, try the emotional pause. You interrupt gently and say, "Hey, I love you and I want to give you my full attention. But I'm running on 10% battery right now, and I can't be the support you need. Can we talk about this tomorrow, when I have the headspace to really listen?" Notice that you didn't say, "Stop complaining." You said, "I care about you too much to give you a half-hearted version of me." You made the boundary about your capacity, not their burden. Second, think about the circular complainer. The friend who complains about the same problem for months but never takes advice. Stop feeding the loop. Instead, use the solution pivot. Say, "I can hear how painful this is for you. I feel like we've circled this a few times and I'm out of advice. What do you think your next step needs to be?" This puts the ball back in their court. You are validating the pain, but refusing to carry the backpack. Finally, for the situations that are actually serious, too heavy for a friend, and require a professional, you are not a bad friend for admitting you are unqualified. You are a responsible one. Use the professional redirect. Say, "I care about you so much, and honestly, I feel like this is bigger than what I can help with. I think you deserve a professional perspective on this, because I don't want to give you the wrong advice." Setting boundaries is step one, But step 2 is the one that will actually heal you. You have to start letting people in. The reason you are the therapist friend is that you are terrified of being the patient. You are terrified of being messy, or needy, or too much. But intimacy is messiness. Connection is shared burden. If you never show your friends your pain, you are denying them the opportunity to love you. You are controlling the narrative. You are keeping yourself safe, but you are also keeping yourself lonely. Try it. Just once. The next time you are hurting, call a friend. Don't ask for advice. Just say, "I'm having a really hard day, and I just need to say it out loud." You don't have to fix it. I just don't want to be alone with it. See who stays. See who listens. The ones who can sit with you in your darkness, without trying to rush you to the light. Those are your people. You have spent your whole life being a harbor for other people's ships. You have weathered their storms. You have anchored their chaos. But you are not a harbor. You are a human being. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to have an unread message for 24 hours. You are allowed to disappoint people to save yourself. The people who truly belong in your life will not drown just because you stopped holding them up. They will learn to swim. And you will finally have the energy to swim alongside them. If you see yourself in this video, I want you to make a promise to yourself today. Go down to the comments and write, "I am done saving." Let that be the first boundary you set. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. For real this time.